Good. I was going to ask you the same. How is my mic?
Your mic is good. It's nice and loud.
Good. I just went over and started streaming on my page. Regardless of whose page you're on, please make sure to hit that like button for either page and actually go back over to both pages and hit it.
Yeah, and if anybody is a little confused as to where to go, we've got it streaming down at the bottom of where you can find us on the channels. So tonight, we're going to be reviewing NPC the game stream. He was featuring Mel Pandora on Parasocial Experiences.
Yeah, I'm excited. I was looking forward to that. I think it was a great interview with related to the topics that you and I have been discussing. So it's interesting to see everything coming together.
Yeah. There's a lot of this parasocial topic that I think it's important for all of us to have these conversations with
Absolutely.
one another and give each other a heads up on our experiences.
Absolutely. Do you want me to play the video, or did anything else happen this week that you wanted to review before we tap into that? I would like for us to speak on it a little bit before we open the panel. Just
Okay.
get our parts out and kind of convey our thoughts, and then definitely open up the panel to see what others have to say. Maybe we viewed it differently than others. Maybe they saw things in it we didn't see.
Okay. Well, let's read out. Parasocial refers to the one-sided connection or imagined connection between a regular person and a fictional character, celebrity, or other public figure. It is a term coined by sociologists Donald Horton and Richard Hull in 1956.
Wow. So between a one-way relationship between an imaginary person or real person? Did I understand it correctly?
Yes, like for instance, we'll use Donald Trump, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a huge support for the president, and people will go out of their put themselves in harm's way, you know, to support somebody they don't even know.
Well, definitely, but that can also happen on the a much smaller scale,
which is what we're gonna see here with Mel Pandora and with NPC the game.
You know, so I'm thinking, and so do you remember the Slender Man?
Oh Lord, yes.
And see, that would have been an imaginary relationship because that was a fictional character, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then there was when I was a little girl, I just remember her last name was Rusen, something like that. But she was a TV anchor, and she was taken one morning before work, and I'm talking like in the 80s, and she's never been found since.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible. I mean, I felt like that when I was in high school. Was I in high school? When Aaliyah passed away.
Oh my gosh, Aaliyah. That broke my heart when she passed away.
Yeah, but I mean, she was a celebrity. I didn't know her personally, but I was influenced by her music, and I grieved that hip hop artist, that R&B hip hop artist.
It's interesting. Do you think that the same connection, like the way you grieved, you know, for the hip hop artist who lost her life, do you think it would be the same grieving process for somebody that had this relationship with a fictional character? Even though it's a fictional character they're involved with, do they still go through the human emotions of grieving in others?
You know, I mean, we'll use. I guess an example I could think of is when the Harry Potter books came out, and then there were no more Harry Potter books
Oh yeah.
to be
Oh.
released, and I had nieces and nephews that were into that, and
Hmm.
how sad they were when the last book came out and when the last movie came out. It was kind of a big deal to them.
Right. Yeah. What up, Joe Cool and Ozzy's Madam? I can't say it. Maida.
What's good, Joe Cool?
Make sure to hit that like button. We're doing a review of the Mel Pandora's or NPC's interview with Mel Pandora and discussing the parasocial relationships on social media. And Yolanda was just breaking down the terminology of parasocial. So that's where we're at now.
Well, before we get started into that, do you want to talk about dopamine and cortisol, or do you want us to start
Yeah.
with to review?
No.
Okay.
That's definitely when you think of dopamine, obviously you think of, oh, this gives me a rush, this is exciting. Me personally, I equate that to a narcotic, a relationship, a physical act. But I never thought about it in the sense of metaversal until I actually came on the panel and started realizing, oh, there might be something different going on that I don't understand fully.
Well, Manda says, in other words, parasocial experiences is having an unhealthy one-sided relationship with a celebrity or fictional character. Yes, that is
Mm,
correct.
good,
That is
good.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, this article says the problem: how does tech increase your cortisol levels? It says
Mm,
our digital dependence and unhealthy habits make us vulnerable to stress. Cortisol levels increase because of the tech-induced threats experienced throughout the day. These include harsh comments on social media posts, doom scrolling, and perplexing phone calls and messages. And I, at the first, just that first paragraph, I was like, okay, this is going to be a good read. It says here, technology has become an essential part of our lives in recent times. You don't use smartphones for communication anymore. You use it to check your social media feed, read or watch the news, respond to work emails, etc. These interactions lead to emotional stressors. For instance, news about school shootings, climate change, and the global economic crisis can leave you overwhelmed. Critical comments and trolls on your social media feed result in depressive thoughts. The obligatory need to stay online 24/7 to ensure you don't miss important phone calls or messages could add to the stress of going online. And we can already hear just in these examples people that we know that we've interacted with on these speaking points here.
I never thought of it as they were receiving this dopamine. I always just thought, man, they really don't have a life, like they don't have nothing else going on. I never realized it was feeding them, and it was the thrill of whether it be the conflict or just being part of the conversation. And oh my God, did you see what happened at so and so's the other day? I didn't realize that's what they was feeding them. This is interesting.
Yeah, fear of missing out. Joe Cool called it.
Absolutely,
And we
absolutely.
know what that's all about.
And we see
Because
the
even us, myself, I go through that too on some of these places I like to go and interact with and hang out. Is what am I going to miss out on sometimes.
right. Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. I'll get it back. But it's I never had this. Well, I guess in childhood before technology, there's always like not getting invited to the birthday party that all the kids at school got invited to, but on a much deeper level because you're surrounded by so many different apps. Man,
Yeah, well, we'll get into that as well, is how it's affecting the youth.
For sure.
So it says, aside from this, one subconsciously starts comparing their lives to what their peers do. You
Mm-hmm.
may also feel like your friends are ignoring you or that you are no longer a priority. For instance, you might notice your friend posting on social media while the message you sent them a day before remains unread. People with anxiety and depression build up scenarios to explain this behavior. And see, I do that shit too to people. Like, yeah, see, that's a good point. More often than not, you conclude that you are not worthy of love. This is one of many side effects of technology. We are ironically becoming more distant from real relationships through this indulgence. Studies from Internet Advisor show how impactful our smartphone usage really is.
Mm.
So it says, do high cortisol levels impact sleep?
Oh.
So check out these streams where they start when you should be sleeping. Think about that too.
I
And
think. Oh, I'm sorry.
but just I'm curious if those content creators are aware of that. You know, it says your sleep pattern changes when you unwind with mindless scrolling every night. Chances are you're spending more time on your phone than resting well.
Mm.
A muddled mind creates stressful situations. You might have trouble concentrating in school or at work due to limited sleep. Alternatively, you may feel overwhelmed and agitated due to a lack of sleep. This may result in conflict with peers. I mean, I remember some of these content creators breaking it down when they are doing streams from 12 plus hours. And how they even end up falling asleep on their streams.
Absolutely. For me, my personal experience, I have a problem of I can get off of work like at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'll go to sleep. And of course, at some point, my dogs are gonna like they're not gonna realize I went to work late. They're still gonna want to go out about 7:30 or 8. And when I come back in, I'll pick my phone up and just scroll through it, and I'll be up for like another hour. And then I'll be like, well, I'm already up. I might as well go ahead and just get up. So for me, I caught that and I had to put my phone somewhere else where it wasn't even within my reach when I got up in the morning. So I had to take away that ability just to reach it, just so I could just come back in and go back to sleep after I took them out.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I put my phone in another location in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I started that off with when I was looking into how much these devices radiate. How much
Oh,
radiation is coming off of them. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's affecting my body and potentially my sleep. But now looking into this is even better. I had to make a transition in my behavior of what I was doing before I went to bed and when I first woke up. And the phone needs to not be the first thing.
because it can take your time. It can steal your time. You can start off looking at shorts. It's just a short, and the next thing you know, 2 hours have gone by.
Well, and these big tech companies know exactly what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So then it says, the brain perceives these situations as imminent threats. Therefore, the body begins to secrete an unhealthy amount of cortisol. High cortisol levels can have a debilitating impact on your body. Excessive secretion can result in obesity, moodiness, high blood pressure, and mental health issues. That's because our brain and our body feel overstimulated by the extra stress hormones.
Mm.
Healthline elaborates on the situation by listing the drastic side effects of unhealthy cortisol levels. Weight gain caused by binge eating or unhealthy habits in general. Mood imbalance that causes you to feel irritable, sad, and sensitive. High blood pressure with an underlying threat to your heart. irregular blood sugar levels, brain fog and decrease in focus, memory lapses, trouble in healing wounds naturally due to reduced anti-inflammatory levels, impaired immune system that makes you vulnerable to mental and physical health issues. In other words, your body refuses to function correctly until cortisol levels subside. By then, your mind and body have begun working in overdrive. Stress management through digital detox can prevent things from escalating.
Oh.
I know, this is what the world that we live in now.
This is what we have in the hands of 2 and 3-year-olds. We see it all the time when the kids are at the grocery store. They have an electronic device, whether it be a tablet, a telephone, and they're in their own world. They're engaged with that.
It says, how do a digital detox in an always-on world?
How?
The benefits of digital detox are undeniable, yet you may experience obstacles when you decide to stay offline for hours. You should take cautious steps that don't require a complete detox, like indulging in hands-on hobbies that take you away from screens and limiting hours spent on the screen. Digital detox isn't easy when a pivotal part of your life revolves around screens. That's why we created a step-by-step guide that includes some tried and tested techniques. Step 1, use a checklist to streamline your online activities. What is the purpose of this app or social media account? Do you receive informative messages from this app social media account? Does using this app bring you joy or add to your stress? How many hours do you spend on this online platform? Does this app social media account share informative messages? Step 2, create a proper schedule for using digital devices. For example, limit social media usage and go offline an hour before bedtime. Mute notifications to limit distractions at work or home. You can set limits according to your business hours if you're working from home, using separate smartphones or accounts for work and recreation, or other ways to divide your time wisely. It says, step 3, substitute mindless scrolling with mindful activities. Do you enjoy brain teasers and word games like Wordle? Invest in books with word search, crossword puzzles, Sudoku, and other activities?
I like Sudoku.
Do you have game apps on your smartphone? Swap them with board games that you can play with friends and family. Feeling lonely? Schedule a meetup or a sign up for group activities to replace restrictive online interactions.
How often should we take a break daily? Should we do it every month? Take it 2 or 3 days off, how Sunday's usually the reset day for people. Should we have a reset digital day? And also, I was trying to look for my screen time, because I do remember at one point in time when your screen time would show up. You know what I'm talking about? On our phone.
I won't even look at it.
I was about to say, before it used to be so, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's 15 million hours today.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh my God, don't even look. Just don't even look.
Right. I used to in the very beginning when I started my YouTube channel. I'd look into that and I'd be like, holy shit.
Right. And now it's just, okay, just deleted that. Don't even pay attention to that. You see how we readjusted our minds to well, this is normal. I use this for work, or I'm listening to an audio book, like somehow we justified it. And I mean, people do, not just us. I'm saying that's how quick it comes, and how it can slide on in there and make these changes.
Well, it depends on how extensive your research has been and what the future plan is for societies. These devices in my opinion, how I see it, they were set up to make us think that we had control over it, while we still had the choice of whether or not would have it. And it seems to me that at some point it will be necessary when you want to tap into the matrix of society in order to engage with it. So I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. We in the building. What's up, Mind's Eye?
Hello. Make sure to hit that like button as y'all come on in. Help us spread the word of the show. We're coming out here just having some conversation about
Rolling up.
parasocial relationships.
Sorry about that. Rolling one up, listening to the ladies now. That's what's good.
Nice. Springtime is a good time for change. Salute to NPC the game. Thank you so much for letting us review your video. Right now we're just going over the definitions of the parasocial and the side effects of having this technology. That can you only, like, our minds are older. Can you only imagine how this technology is in the minds of kids whose minds are still developing and how it alters it?
Well, again, this is why we have to start having these conversations more and more on these panels, because we are part of the influence of molding these little ones. I was listening in on NPC when he speaks about how he limits and interacts with his little son, Ben. It's really important, but it's hard for these kids too, because now when they go to school, they're given tablets and they have to do their assignments on these computers, and you don't always have control over when they're using these devices if they're not near you at all times.
These devices are at the station when I go and pump gas. These devices are on buses. They're everywhere. You can't escape. There's some grocery stores that they're at the checkout line.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere.
The butterfly effect, for reals. Let's see here. New Guru, good to see you. Ask the same questions about the technology you grew up with that was there when you were born. Evening, folks. Good to see you, New Guru. Yeah, I mean, I remember it was a big deal back in the day when I got a pager. And nobody was paging my ass.
I remember when CDs were coming in, and I was in middle school, and of course we all had the Walkmans, and it was like, I'm not paying for the CDs like that. I'm gonna always have my cassette player, because I can just make my own tape. And just, I remember going over to my friend's house and hearing a CD for the first time and thinking, oh my gosh, we're about to lose tapes, because it was the most amazing thing now. And now CDs are all like, they're just DIY projects now, which is how, because there was also with the CDs was reading the inserts and hearing the stories, and that was the connection to the artist at the time.
It's really interesting to see how much we've all been groomed to use the technology for entertainment value, in our youth, in comparison to it being something that is a necessity. I know over in China, they have to use and scan their phones for everything to get into buildings, for social credit score. I still, to this day, refuse to use QR codes. But, the part of my business, there are times when people want to pay me and they want to use those QR codes, and I'm like, straight do voodoo on that shit.
I want my business card to have a QR code, because it does make it so simple. Well, go look it up. And then, of course, you type it in, you type in cool, COOL, but then you got the person who spelt it KOUL. So just having that QR code just gets me to where I need to go so quick. That's interesting.
But that's how they're reeling us in. You know, that's the digital currency that they're creating for us. I mean, we're kind of getting on a sideways here from just talking about the parasocial, but we can't help but also acknowledge what this technology is doing, and that's why we're talking about this, is because we also see the negativity, the negative aspects of it, and just sharing our wisdom with everyone. And I'm sure that everybody has some input on this, but I just want to go ahead and shout out to some of this is my
You're correct. Yeah, I see
my
a lot of names down
yeah,
there. So salute to y'all.
yeah, these are the VIPs, man.
Nice.
I'm so
Are they
honored.
familiar with NPC, or do we need to like give them a background, kind of explain what we're reviewing, and maybe a quick backstory?
Yeah, you why don't you go ahead? It says here, and NPC the game. Um, we're gonna be reviewing his stream. In the description, there's a link to the stream, so please go ahead and check it out and give a subscribe to NPC. He has a lot of good content that he shares about all different types of topics. And he says, "You are welcome, Yolanda and Cynthia, for perspectives. I appreciate you to come by Ben's 7th birthday stream." Of course. I
Yes.
think that was cool how you incorporated that.
Well, that's an example. If you can't beat them, join them. You know, I'm not going to let social
Exactly.
media take over to my kids, but we're going to be in it together, baby. And another thing that I like about NPC, he is in Taiwan. So I wonder if just being in a different culture, if it's the same effects as it is here in the Western culture. I'm in the United States, and I think you are too, is right. Well, correct.
Yeah, I think so. I'm newer to NPC. I've just started listening in on his streams due to his presentation that I've seen elsewhere on other panels, and I've been intrigued by his perspectives. But my family just got back from Japan
Mm-hmm.
a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about how advanced the Japanese culture is with their incorporating of technology.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting to hear sometime. But speaking of the parasocial relationships, there was a content creator out of the UK who I don't even really know, but who I guess supposedly did a controversial things, and she took a break from YouTube, uh, and she made her first appearance on OTWs, and coming back and talking about it and how it was for the break and what she hopes to achieve from the break. You know, from now that she's going to slowly tap back in, she understands it a little bit different, and she had some thoughts, and then they really had some great conversation when another guest came up by the name of Machine Lies. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him as well, but we were just going to kind of review that. Both her and I have watched the stream, and we kind of time stamped it. We haven't talked about it. We haven't even discussed the stream. So this is going to be the first time we kind of get each other's perspective and what we saw on this review. Because from my interpretation, the chat, some people were like, "Oh, you're not taking accountability for your actions," and they really wanted to get up there and bring that to the forefront. Whereas NPC was like, "No, there's going to be a tighter ship," and this was a rule of his, and he said, "For tonight, we're going to be on the rule of stick to the topic," and I absolutely loved that. Some people were disappointed by that. However, I feel like in this chaotic world, we need to have that type of boundaries. I guess if we're gonna step onto panels and create panels.
Yes, you did a little. You said OTW, but you meant NPC the
I'm
game.
so sorry, NPC.
No, you're good because you've been on OTWs and you've been experiencing this over there as well. So I could see why you would get that a little bit mixed up.
I hate
But
when I get the words mixed up.
oh, you're good. You're good.
Also,
Okay.
are you able to show it, or you want me to like? You can present it, right?
Yeah, it's right here. So let's see here. The first time stamp I've got. Let's see here. You. Why don't you go ahead and give me your first timestamp?
The first time step I had is when they started talking about unhappy people on YouTube, and it's about the 24:30 mark, and it made me think, like, if people are unhappy, is it toxic for them to come here, or is this helping them? So they had some really good conversation on that.
Okay. And also, wait, don't forget to also check out this chat as well.
Oh yeah.
I decided to not look at the chat yet. This will also be my first time checking it out, but we're going to see how wild this chat's going to be as they're talking about this. So
He's gonna, unfortunately, I think it got so loud he ended up deleting the comments. But throughout the chat, I mean, throughout the live, we're not gonna watch
okay.
the whole live. He will address it, and some of them will come up. And there's a couple of good chats that comments that I definitely want us to take a look. But that's Mel on the right, and NPC on the left. And Mel, she wants to write a thesis or what was the other thing? I forgot. And go to the parliament, and she wants the government to step in and kind of regulate social media, which that was interesting at first. You're like, shut up, that's great. Right. But then she started saying, well, no, there should be a place that if you're being harassed, they can help you, walk you through the process of how to do a cease and assist. And I was thinking, well, okay, hang on. She might be onto something. Like, in this metaversal world, we can get lost. And what do we do? What are we supposed to do? And you could talk to one person and they'll say something. You could talk to another person and you're completely in limbo. So I did like that thought. And she was also, her issue isn't with necessarily content creators, but then people who enablers and the motivation of people who come on YouTube, which, can we ever truly know that?
All right, let's see what she has to say. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I don't see any of the chat, I'll make sure to expand the screen.
The huge creators didn't interact with their crowd, or they used to just read the super chats and that's it. I'm starting to understand. There's a lot of unhappy people on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good people on YouTube, but there's a lot of unhappy people on YouTube that just project, nastiness because they are incompetent in their own lives with their relationships with others. A lot of the time when you see people, like you see, whether it be men or women, attacking the opposite sex, it's because they are unable to communicate, unable to establish relationships with people of the opposite sex, and then they project it onto and that's when you get communities. I've forgotten what community is called, where they're all about the men are like, we don't need women in our lives.
Oh, you mean like MGTOW, men going their own ways?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that.
So yeah, and there's a lot of that goes.
Cynthia, just let me know when you want me to stop, okay?
Oh, that was good. I was curious. You stop whenever you think. Like, what do you think about what she's saying? Unhappy people come on, and we've all heard that. Hurt people hurt, but is this something different, or what we were discussing earlier? The side effects.
Well, a little bit of a background. I know that she has had a very intense experience incorporating her. She brought her real life into she went from the digital into real life with people that she interacted with on her channel. So she really went through it. But there are absolutely a lot of miserable folk up in this digital realm for sure.
When she said that there's also good folks, have you met equally as much good people? Has that been your experience? Positive? Have you met, oh my gosh, everybody around me is a nutcase?
For me, I put a boundary. So luckily, when it gets too intense for me and it gets a little messy, I've just learned how to block people. So I don't see anything that they're saying. They don't need to be in my vicinity. They don't exist, because I don't need that extra kind of stress. But I had to learn that the hard way. That's for damn sure.
I was about to ask you, did you come into it with like, these are the boundaries? Did you learn as you go? Okay, these boundaries need to be set. And are you constantly tweaking them, updating them, or is there just a core that is good for you? And you know that these are my good, faithful ones. They're not going to let me down, these boundaries.
I want to say that maybe it took me a good 6 months when I started my channel to establish on who was legit to be, just based on how I experienced them on their channels. It is a system of trust. And you see on my side who are the wrenches, because these are places that these are individuals that I know that share information. They use the wrenches. We share information with one another. There isn't even any deleting of comments or timing people out. There isn't even any of that in my area. But I got the lesson the hard way from Snafu Snaps.
Oh, good old Snappy. And if y'all have never met him, yes, you have been blessed. It's a blessing. Once you meet him, oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, when I first started my YouTube account, I used my first and last name like a dumbass. That's how naive I was. So go ahead.
Even though I use my first name, Cynthia, I've been on YouTube maybe 4 years now. I no longer use it in my real life anymore. And I regret using my real first name, because What's Up Cynthia has to be like a character on YouTube. You have to create a persona, create your boundaries. And unfortunately, I want to not be Cynthia when I'm not on YouTube. So I completely understand. Hey, Harmon, I appreciate you stopping by. Please make sure to hit that like button. I appreciate you. So yeah, the name thing. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to use my name. I have nothing to hide. You don't realize what comes with using your name and everything involved with it.
Well, all I did was I was calling out for what I saw when I was just learning how to engage in chats. When I first got onto YouTube, I didn't know about the chats. I wasn't even paying attention to when it was a live stream. I was just listening in on the streams. And then I started to hear a content creator talk about the chat. I thought, what the hell is the chat? And then I paid attention to the live, and then I saw the chat going, and I thought, okay, this is fun. And started to figure to learn how to do that. And then I got kind of addicted to it. Once I started to learn about the live chats, because it's just like texting one another back and forth. But
do you remember the party lines back in the day?
I had a really strict upbringing. I wasn't allowed to use the phone after a certain time, and I didn't have access to have my own line like that and do the party lines. I experienced it when I go to other people's houses, but not very often.
Line. It's like party live. And I see people, hey, Yolanda, what's up? You know, and you may not see my comment because you're actually cooking. And then, oh my God, Yolanda didn't text back. Is she mad at me? What's her problem? And you curate your own delusion. Like I've caught myself doing that. That is to the point where, like, please nobody say hi to me because I don't want to say hi to y'all. I don't want to forget anybody. I don't want to cause anybody stress. Like, please, please, please. But even like getting stressed about not being said hi to reversed over to being stressed about, oh my God, did I forget to say hi to anybody? Because I don't want to cause anybody that unintentionally.
Yeah, I mean, this has really helped me not to get too emotional about any of it anymore. You know, I've really learned to just be able to turn it off, and to this having our own channels and finding other people to engage with us that has made it more where you have more control over it, has given me the balance and equalized it for me. But I want to play this part here.
I think it would eradicate a lot of the P-bombers, right? Because YouTube would know who they are.
Right, they would know who they are. Yeah. And from there, where else are we looking at in this?
We're looking at the parasocial relationships, and you know, and I think, look, there's a correlation between depression and social media. The more you're on social media, the more depressed you become. Those are facts. So I think, and it's very easy to fall into pit holes, right? It's very easy to follow the crowd. And I think a lot of the time people behave how they behave online. They would never behave in that manner in real life, because there would be accountability, right? And that's why I think, you know, sometimes social media becomes like a playground for narcissists, or a playground for people who are just full of shit. And where in real life, they can't behave that way because they'll get ostracized from community or their family or the law. You know, I think definitely we need to regulate the social media streets so people don't act like fucking animals on YouTube, right?
You think
so yeah, they're definitely.
So do you think it's possible to even regulate social media? What would that look like?
They're already doing it. I know that YouTube's guidelines have changed a lot just in the past 2 years.
Absolutely.
So, and then you hear you see what's happening with Facebook, with X, but
is it enough?
This is the hard part. As an American, we're so about freedom of speech, but at what point do you put that boundary there and say enough is enough? Because it's creating a weaponization of behavior on here. That was something that I was introduced to with Snafu Snaps and the different other content creators that were always like, why are you deleting our comments? Freedom of speech, freedom of speech. This is, they would call it Nazi blocking and all that kind of nonsense.
I remember the Nazi blocking.
Right, but that's the thing. Everybody has the choice on their channels to run it the way that they want to, and people be wildly out here and acting a damn fool, and then throwing it back in your face, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. Well, if you were in my home and you speak to me like that, I would tell you to get the hell out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't that be different? People pick and choose when they want to use that and when they don't.
So earlier I was watching a video, and it was about a young man who his job was to filter through YouTube videos. And unfortunately, of course, he saw a lot of unaliving of people, but he talked about the hideous sexual acts. Can we say that word, sexual? The hideous acts that he observed day after day after day after day, that it affected his real life, that he no longer even enjoyed that because he couldn't get all those visions out of his head.
Lord.
And oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just wow, that's crazy.
And he said, I used to be a firecracker in the bedroom. That's what he said. I was like, oh, wow. But I think, yes, that is a great standard. But I'm even realizing like the type of behavior of people that troll people and people that harass people and bully people and hate on people, that's a different part that I don't even know if, like, how do you filter out that can that even be filtered out?
I think it can be filtered out. It just depends on how intense you want to run your channel. Like I said, that shit does not happen on my channel. I don't have that kind of that type of trolling. But I don't know. Somebody's asking up here if we could give what is the backstory on Mel Pandora. Are you willing to go ahead and give us a little bit of a backstory on why she's an advocate for this?
Well, Mel lives in the UK, and she a group of people made a trip to Las Vegas, and there were other content creators. I want to pretty much say all of them were content creators, and I'm not sure the exact number. I want to say like 30. I mean, not 30. I want to say like 6 people went, and it turned in, and everybody was excited to go on to the trip, and it turned into she accidentally, well, not accidentally, but she did the Elon Musk salute. That turned into a whole situation because another person clipped it out, pushed it onto other platforms. The other platforms were like, oh my God, look at this. She's a hideous person. She's supporting that. And in honesty, she was having a night of the fire water, and she was just in happy spirits. She's in Las Vegas and Sin City.
That damn fire water.
And I don't want to, and so it was horrible. It was her manager was there. They fell out. Police, I think, were called, and it was really horrible for her to experience it because I think they were out there like 10 days, and this was like 10 days of back to back to back, and it just became so much that she stepped away. People were mad at her. You ran from what you did. You didn't take accountability. You're a horrible person. Oh my God, you're the worst. And I think there were other things with YouTube plays trying to be played, but her acting like she wasn't a part of that. But like you said, each content creator has the right, the freedom, the ability, and to stand on the way they create their platforms. And if that's the way she chose to run her platform and you don't like it, don't watch it. But unfortunately, a group of people, for whatever reason, chose to take it there. However, she did things. She called somebody's husband, and they're like, well, she took it real life, and that's horrible. She's got to take accountability. But on both sides, it was bad behavior on both sides, in my opinion.
Okay, so then this is what she's advocating for is the intensity of these threats and the behavior that she experienced from bringing her real life into the digital. I mean, because me personally, Cynthia, I learned when I had a Facebook account that I already didn't like the politics behind Zuckerberg, right? Like I could already see what was happening with that company, and I deleted all of my social media accounts once I started to see how they were accumulating the data, how they were using it against you, how that information stays in there forever. I went through that stage of sharing videos and photos of myself and my family, all that nonsense. And I was so thankful that when I came across Snafu and he was like, okay, we're going to look your ass up, all your public records. we're going to find out who you really are. Just because I told him he was an idiot, right? That's the only reason. Because I said something against him. And he was weaponizing it against me as a threat. And I thought at first it was a shock to me. Because I thought, what do you mean? You're going to look up my personal information, right? That's how naive I was. So I learned right then and there, thank God, I don't have a public record that's messy, that anybody could use it to do a smear campaign on me. But I think that this is what Mel is talking about here, is that where do we draw the line, and what can we do for regulating these?
Right. And that's where I come when NPC was like, tonight the rule is this. I mean, that's what content creators need to do. We need to normalize setting boundaries instead of being like, everybody just come, and why did the group of content creators gather in Las Vegas? I think it's just they wanted to have a trip. They had visions of making it a content creator house, and all content creators have cross streams, them cooking, of them touring Vegas, and it turned out to be.
So it was a vacation for content.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So what part? So you had that timestamp. Did you have anything else, or were we done with that?
Let's see here. They are going to talk about those who are inadequate in life, and highlighting why that some of these trolls be trolling.
May have a criminal background, so
hang on, pause.
They're not able to work, or
that's one of her huge points for Parliament, is she wants all felons off of YouTube.
Oh, damn.
I think that, will it even be fun without the felons? But that's just me.
Okay.
Or who have been ostracized from their families because they've got mental health problems. A lot of these people are able to behave in the manner that they do online because there's no consequences, right? There's no consequences. So
okay, so that's what she's going to talk about, is rewarding bad. That these people are pretty much being able to still act like criminals on here potentially. Let's see here. The next one is
I have a timestamp of 3130 talking about personal growth and how people sometimes will use social media to hide from real life, escape from.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
And so now this comes into media addiction. We've met other content creators that have openly said, hey, I had a social media addiction, and there was a time, maybe perhaps, oh, what? But that's very real. And we have to understand that and not judge people off of this addiction. Addiction is addiction, no matter what that other addiction is.
Okay. So just let me know when you want me to stop, okay?
Good for you, as you've been taking this break. I assume it's a break.
Yeah. And do you know what? I've learned there's been so much personal growth. It really has, because one of the things that I realized that I was doing was that I realized that I was kind of hiding from real life, and I was kind of, brushing things under the carpet that needed addressing. And I'm back in the workforce full time now, and I'm addressing some of those things that I was brushing under the carpet. And I think a lot of people do tend to do that. They want to hide in social media to avoid facing real life.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
And I've learned that.
I think that was very vulnerable and honest of her to come up and say that. I want to avoid real life. One of the hugest things I had to learn, and then as soon as I learned it, I made sure all of my children learned it, and by all I mean two, and that is not dealing with the situation is dealing with the situation. And you need to understand, like, you can either choose to deal with it and not deal with it, but either way you look at it, you're actually dealing with it. And so that was vulnerable for her to come up and say, hey, I checked out. I need, I caught it and I'm trying to correct it now.
NPC says, clearly communicating emotions, expectations, and behaviors can invite more peace into your life and decrease the amount of stress you experience. That is why boundaries are important. I agree with that 100%. I've learned that the boundaries are necessary for me in my life, and that I can't get offended when people give me the boundaries on the internet relationship with someone. And I've also had to recognize the parasocial aspect of it. There was another channel where I had been over there for a hot minute, giving my 2 cents and reaching out to the person on the side and pulling back a nub, because I thought more of that person than they thought of me. And I had recognized at that moment that was an issue within that was a mistake I kept making in my life, is having higher expectations of others. And I needed to stop doing that. So, the detachment from these internet relationships are also a huge aspect to it. So I'm glad that she took a break from it.
Absolutely. That is definitely a lesson I had to learn. Like, just don't, it's easy to say, I have no expectations. But at least I have the expectations you're going to behave as I would behave, though. And that was wrong on my part. And that was something as well that I had to learn. Like, I can't be surprised. Like, I should have no expectations. But I don't go to the other side where I expect everybody to screw me over. Don't allow the boundaries to become jadedness. Is very important in this journey.
Do you have another timestamp?
I have a timestamp of 3730 where Princess Angela NPC does put it there on the on the page there, and that was a hard question to look at and think, wow, am I this way? Yeah, that one, white one right there. Say it.
3730, you said?
Yes. A Princess Angela comment. Yeah, he's gonna have it on the screen.
Oh, okay. How come it's not showing?
Yeah, it is. Like, look for the white
experience on the YouTube.
Go back a little. So. 37, 30. Go back.
It only wants to go to 22 on my side, so we'll go ahead and
figure it out in a second.
Okay.
I'm going to look into how much it costs to do a master's, and I really do want to write some sort of dissertation or theses on my experience on the YouTube streets. So,
okay, right there. I can't imagine what it would feel like to be negative and put negative comments in chats attacking another person. I was like, dang, that was like, oh my gosh, why did Angela just call me out? And it's not, sometimes that emotion can allow you to become so angry that you just want to get it out. I'm a firm believer. I'm not holding this in, because if I hold this in, this could be dangerous for me, and I'm not holding it in. If I feel it, I need you to feel it too.
Hey, look, we got a good compliment here. I like you two collaborating these Panelverse streets. Good mojo. Hey, holla.
Thank you. It's the Latina in us.
Well, I think that you and I have had enough experience on here. We've been dragged through the streets and been told to kick rocks
several times, and it will be several more times. I am absolutely sure of. So that's kind of where I was at with the combination with her. Not that she wasn't good, and it was, again, I highly recommend going and listening to the full interview on NPC's channel. They also brought in, but they later they brought in Scott Peterson, who really broke down the difference between females and males on social media and their behavior. And I never even identified it as we're going to even react to it different ways. I never thought of it that way. But I was just saying that my next timestamp isn't until 1 hour and 5 minutes. So if you have anything sooner, let us know.
Let's see here. We're jumping all over the place here.
Well, that's how come we timestamped it, because sometimes you watch people, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm tired of watching it, on live. Let's go to something else. I definitely wanted to pull the gems out and share them. But again, the whole interview is good, but their conversation to Jordan Peterson, not Scott, and Tina Mill coming up. Girl, if we had Scott Peterson on here, we should be concerned.
That person is it. I'll have to talk to you about that.
Girl, did you hear his he's put out his looking for a special lady?
That is terrible.
And list all of the things that he's looking for in a lady, and one of them is a Christian woman. I thought, oh, come on, Scott.
Okay, on a side note, I just wanted to put up here high school drama. Yeah, I mean, it becomes, we revert back to adolescence with this shit. Mm-hmm. So that's why you and I are coming up here and having this conversation, and we're trying to be a little bit more mature about it, because I'm reading this chat and I can see all of the vitriol that's going on. And granted, I know a little bit about what's going on with Mel, but when you share your real life on here, there are potentially going to be consequences. So I think that this is what she's talking about, right? Is the lessons that she learned through her journey here as a content creator.
We all have that. But again, this is so new. We don't even. I'm going to treat YouTube the same way I treat my real life. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to speak to everybody. And that is bait for some people. And you have to, no worries. You have to, like you said, set those boundaries.
Okay, let me go ahead and play this.
Because a lot of these arguments I've had and stuff, I've never really have them in the squished reality. I call it offline, because I'm pretty chill and whatnot, and nobody really tests me, because one, they'll probably be afraid of me. If they did, they wouldn't do that, and two, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. There's a lot of things to deal with, but here there's no consequences and whatnot. But,
one of my biggest brain scratches, because it's very easy to talk about the narcissists and the people with severe mental health issues that really do need to be, some of them need to be institutionalized, right? But it's the enablers that I really had to kind of think hard about. The enablers, the people that enable that kind of behavior, the people that encourage that kind of behavior, and their motivations behind that.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. We already know how this goes on these for content. If you don't want your content shared, that's when you use the YouTube tools, and you get them for copyright, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to really set that boundary with someone, and tell them no, that's another means of being able to stop it. What do you think?
I think of boundaries. Hang on, I lost my train of thought. We enable this behavior if, for instance, let's say you and I don't get along, okay, and you were on a panel and I happened to come up on the panel as well, and we got into a fight, and the host chose one side and kind of favored that other side. That's rewarding that bad behavior. You're enabling that behavior. But this is a double-edged sword, because as a content creator, that you want your person to still be feisty, because that brings the drama content, and that's good. But there's also the other side of that, like, people, you could be talking to somebody who's not in the right headspace and who could take drastic measures. We've seen it time and time again play out in social media. And so that's like, it's a double-edged sword. And how can you regulate someone's behavior? I mean, obviously you can if you're the panel host, but not every panel host is going to run it the same way. And everybody's like, it might not be bad behavior to one, but it might be great behavior to another. That's a hard blurry line right there for me.
Yeah, I just always revert back to don't participate. Like, if you know there's gonna be somewhere that already has a beef with you, like what we just saw on another panel last night. If somebody chooses that they don't like you, and they'll use you as bait and smack you around and whack at you like a piñata, don't participate in that shit. There's consequences for it.
And then that goes into, I'm left out. I don't want to feel left out. It's such a slippery, it's so many different things. This social media is different. You're bringing in different emotions. When she talked about the mental health, we're always like, I'm not qualified to help you. But I realized after listening to NPCs, I'm not even sure I'm qualified on how to receive some of the words, some of the actions that come against me, because in my mind, I can process this isn't me. Why are they doing this to me? But I'm still human, and emotions can still be provoked.
Absolutely. I mean, I use this for me as a mirror. I listen back at the feedback that people tell me. I listen back on myself when I'm just speaking and monologuing on my own, and I try to use it as positive reinforcement instead of, in the very beginning, I will beat myself up over it, but it's all, I've learned to use it as tools for improvement and not to beat myself up over it.
Absolutely. I've learned that I need to speak better, speak slower. I learned that ways to improve as well. But again, not everybody has our experiences. And sometimes people can prey upon those that are weaker.
Do you have another timestamp, or do you want to drop a link?
Oh yeah, we're about an hour in. We could definitely do a time. We could definitely drop the link. I'll drop it on my side. I don't think I'm a mod, so I can't drop it on your side.
Oh, I got it on mine. On my side.
And if y'all want to come up, if you want to talk about your own experiences or what you've seen on social media, or even, hey, I've dealt with this myself, y'all should try this, because at this point, I'm just trying to learn ways to maneuver through this better.
It's all a learning experience.
Mm-hmm. But I loved when Jordan Peterson came on there. Did you like that? And when he talked about at 1 hour and 5 minutes on the intense focus of social media.
Hold on just a minute.
Mm-hmm. Everybody ran to join the panel. Oh, and while we're waiting, please make sure to hit that like button. We would appreciate it. It helps us get in the algorithm and move us along so we can have more conversations. Such as this. It pairs perfect the music. Oh yeah, I remember getting mad at a squid once or twice. Is this squid like the animal?
Red Squid X. That's one of my
Oh,
the people over here on my side. Yeah, I appreciate the feedback because I can't tell if the music is too low or if it's too high. So I'm glad that they were letting me know that they couldn't hear it. I couldn't tell.
yeah. This is what our episode 2, Chicas Locas 2.
Let me see. Do I still have that one of it? There we go. Chicas Locas.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the timestamp you had for me? I'm sorry.
It's okay. 1 hour and 5 minutes. Intense focus on social media and the difference between the way female and males fight on social media. And I was like, oh my gosh, this has been my experience.
You said one
1 hour and 5 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was a good clip.
A criminal past. Is that something bad? Because if it is, then I'm bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some. Are we not men? You're all.
You men, move up.
I'm in chill mode. I'm in vacation mode almost right now.
Yes.
Than they were. They're more socially isolated. Yeah, I'm loath to make intergenerational comparisons, because every generation thinks that this current young generation is worse than any generation that's ever existed.
What is better and what is worse than ever right now in our culture?
We have no idea what this intense focus on social media is doing to everyone, but particularly to young people. I mean, can you imagine that nothing you ever did
that is
as a
Danica
teenager
Patrick.
Could be forgotten?
Clue.
I live in a world where.
Can you imagine if anything? You just said if everything you said, was never forgotten. Especially when you're a teenager, that's pretty bad.
Oh my gosh, girl.
Right.
That would be pretty bad.
I want to thank Robbie for his comment as well.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Robbie, yes. When people talk shit about Mel, I know right then that Mel was doing something good. And I'm a 9-year-old in YouTube age, so Robbie's been around. He vouches for you. Yeah. I vouch for you. Good people.
Where people have said horrible things about me on the internet and on social media.
Yeah, that's fun, eh?
Yeah, it's so fun. I know you have a lot of experience with that, but I don't know them. So I can write that off to they don't even know me, right? But now this happens in school and a kid can read this and they're in class with that person or they have a locker near them. And I think that is such a dangerous and horrible thing for a kid to have to deal with. I very much empathize with kids today and social media.
So there's a female pattern of antisocial behavior and there's a male pattern of antisocial behavior. And the male pattern of antisocial behavior is a lot more physically violent. The female pattern of antisocial behavior is reputation destruction.
Ooh.
What was that? You got a ooh. Run it back.
That so
Get that,
true?
Mel? You there, Pandora?
Sorry, I just got.
Isn't that so true? Like, when I hear men talk, I'm like, what are they? Why are they behaving this way? And women will make up the most hateful things to say about you, and you're like, what?
Yeah, as a woman, I can absolutely say that it gets to that whole idea of scratching each other's eyes out and pulling each other by their hair. I hate that kind of shit on here. And I see it does go back to adolescence. You can tell when we revert back into that type of behavior. And I try really hard to not be that petty on here. You know, I'm not about to go around telling somebody that they're fat, you know, they're ugly, and all the ad homs that people enjoy doing. I'm too old for that shit.
I love like everybody. You're a fake Christian, and I'm all like, if that's the worst you have to say about me, I'm actually kind of okay with that. But yes, they will make, and people will make up stuff. You can say verbatim one thing, and they will hear it a different way and twist it that way to fit their narrative of you.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. You and I have been engaging with people, twisting our words around and creating their own narrative. But you know, I'm no different. If I want to come up here, and that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm reviewing this. I'm putting my own perspective on the experience, but I have to also acknowledge that I need to be respectful about it, you know. And there's a lot of disingenuous people out here. There's a lot of people who exhibit bad faith, and that's when I have people telling me, well, you should know better than to be engaging with people like that. But they're all lessons learned. Hopefully, I mean, for me, I learned the lesson the hard way a couple of times, and try not to make the same mistake again. But, you know, nobody's perfect.
Absolutely. I can't even believe some of the situations I get in. I'm like, how did you even end up here? Hi, NPC. Well, thank you.
Welcome, NPC.
Hey, how's it going, ladies? Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Hey, it's so meta. Like, I was gonna let you do your thing, but I had to say it's very refreshing that you guys are doing this thoughtful breakdown, because this is the first. There's been like 4 or 5 other people that have done it, and definitely not thoughtful in my opinion. But this is cool. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. There was some great gems when, especially when TML came up and was talking about the 2 different types of relationships, escapism and voyeurism. I was on another panel today, and she described it as seeking and escaping. And
seeking and escaping. Yeah. That's a
And
good one. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you know, I mean, if I break it down, I'm seeking too, because it's like, but then other times we're not all seeking the same thing, and this dopamine isn't feeding us the same. Some of us are addicted to it in different ways. Right. I mean, there's definitely levels to it, because I mean, we could talk about, like, in terms of this panel verse or real life, squished reality, about seeking, and you know, and I see this, for example, like, if you listen to my channel, like you were saying, like, I talk about different things that interest me, and one of the things over the years that I've liked to look into was like astrology, just in terms of like personality, looking at personalities. And one of the things I learned when studying the soul in terms of astrology is that there's always these 2 dynamics, trying to return to source energy, aka God, or trying to get away from source energy and explore. And this is this dynamic that goes even on the highest metaphysical levels, all the way down to this beautiful 3D reality we're living in. So, I mean, it's a trip. There's levels to it, huh? For sure. And from my experience, once I learned something, I realized I really don't know anything. Hey, that sounds like a wise person to me right there. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what time I'm on. What you just explained, NPC, is that I've gotten to the point of attaining an awareness with the help of being online, redirecting me to get my mind, my body, and my spirit aligned so that I can experience that higher level of consciousness. And, and so I love to hear about the knowledge and the wisdom that people have to help with one another, and all this other nonsense keeps us down in the lower vibration of ourselves. It doesn't
It
help
totally
us
does.
elevate
Right.
unless
It totally
you learn
does.
from the lesson. Yeah.
On
Yeah, but then it. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Well,
No, please.
one of the things is that TML talked about on your page at the 1 hour 35-minute marks, for those of you who are
Mhm.
going to go watch, is that boos are just as good as cheers. And I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
man.
man, that
Yeah.
that feeds them.
Yeah. I came into this realization earlier in the year about how, when people come to you with criticism, it's very easy, especially if you're thin-skinned like I can be sometimes in the beginning. It's easy to brush it off, but when I started to kind of look at that criticism, even if it's like fugazi and fake, I can always say, hey, maybe if there's even 2%, I'm trying to get better, so I'll take from that. It don't mean I don't enable that person's shitty behavior that's telling me it. However, I'll consider everything at this point. And I've been put to the test this last week with this broadcast and conversation I had with Mel. So I'm taking it all in. So I'm glad that I got it on the other side with y'all. Yeah, even if you were flaming me up, I would take whatever you have, because it's learning. Like the Mad Chatter said, we're trying to get better and better.
It's all, for me, it's all self-improvement.
Yeah.
Like I can't let myself stay in that state of victimhood. And I see that a lot on these panels and from different channels, is that they like to highlight what a victim they are in their circumstances, and feed off of the audience like that. And I point that out only to get used as another level of their victim status. So then I'm like, okay, I don't need to be engaging with this person anymore. I have to be the bigger person, unsubscribe, and don't watch them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's that easy. It's that simple.
Yeah. It's very simple. Yeah.
NPC, you also mentioned two things that also resonated with me. You missed there's a difference between caring and like. And when we say, I don't care about something, you're like, but you do, because you're thinking about it. Or do you mean you don't like it? I was like, oh, damn, let me think about that. And also when you said, I would never want to be a person that's so happy to see somebody else be attacked. I'm paraphrasing. I forgot the actual way it was said, but that was the core of it. And I was like, man, that's true. Like sometimes when we look at people and we think, ooh, I can't stand you. I hate this trait about you and I hate this trait about you. But I've never thought, man, I would hate to be like you. And that just really turned it around. And so these type of conversations that you have, that we have, that others have, for me, it's just sparking energy, sparking growth, for, like Yolanda just said. And I think that they're needed more so than ever on a platform that's trying to do away with human connection.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I resonate with what you're saying, Cynthia. Because we've been around the so-called muck so much, what we don't want, and a lot in this sector, I call it the all of the above sector.
Right.
So much that it's like, okay, we're getting that lesson. Let's step away for a bit and be thoughtful and see how not only how we see others doing, but how more importantly how we're doing it ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because that's when I was talking to Flow State, what you mentioned about we say like we say we don't care about this person, but obviously we do if we're spending hours of streaming and talking about them. Maybe we don't like them for sure, but we do care about what they're doing, and I don't, even with those people I don't like, I don't want them to be destroyed completely, because it's like you are another me. They're in the end, I think that could be me. It is me already on one level, now what am I gonna do with it now? That's what I'm here. They're gonna do their work, I'm gonna do my work, and my work is to be me, but be kind. I'm gonna add that, because a lot of people say I'm gonna do me, but what if you being mean is being a jerk? You know, it's like, yeah. This Panelverse is really showing me a lot. It's like I'm self-stalking myself, like Carlos Castaneda used to say. You know,
It
So-
does feel like that. The whole
Yeah.
aspect of it being a mirror and you're looking at
Mhm.
yourself, like that's what time I'm on. I want to look back and reflect on the things that I want to tweak about myself. I have no control over what another person is going to do for themselves.
no.
You know, I can't have those expectations on another person. It's a
Yeah.
really, really hard lesson to learn.
Mhm.
But and the anxiety and the stress that comes along with it. There's a lot of people on different levels of life where you know, they've got anxiety, they've got depression, there's and they bring it with them onto these panels. You know, Cynthia and I talked about this last time together, is that people have got that damn monkey on their back and
Oh.
it weighs them down,
Yeah.
and you try to point it out to them and they don't want to see it. You know, they're so stuck in their head, they're so stuck in their mind that they're not even willing to acknowledge that monkey is on their back.
And
Yeah.
I thought about that today when I was in a situation with somebody, and I thought, man, I would hate to have that much monkeys on my back. You know, instead of being like, they're an idiot. I just thought, man, that I'm just gonna have to pray that your load gets lightened, because I can see that it's affecting you in very bad ways.
Right.
I can say it to them, but in my, like, that's the internal conversation I'm having with in my head.
That means you're in the right path, because I'm having that too, that internal dialogue, that language machine that just keeps going.
Mhm.
But like actually analyzing it. That's why I think it's great. I'm happy. I'm gonna say it again. I'm happy I came here and met you guys, because I was really kind of lose faith in this sector. I was like, gosh, man, it's like nobody's walking with me, or I'm not. And I feel like you guys are walking in the same direction, at least for now, as me. So I'm like, hey, I'll walk with you. Maybe it's a good sign when you said, what do you call yourself? The local Latinas or Latina locas? well, you got the Blaxican with you here, right? Walking with you, so you're good.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that, because we've got Blaxican up in my family, so it's culture, right? It's culture.
All culture. All this is culture.
Right. You've got a sense of when you have a sense of being honorable, and there's a lot of rebuking what is good, what is true, what is right, and what is honorable. There's what's celebrated on here is bad faith and bad behavior, and with the money that backs it up. I watch these channels that run like you're at a bar. And I was talking to this about Cynthia earlier. You see so many levels of addiction on here. You see the gambling aspect, right? Because people want to super chat their comments. They spend, because this is like a digital record. You watch how much people spend on these channels. It's like gambling, right? It's like going to the damn casino, and they play these clips, all of those dopamine and cortisol hits for people, you know.
That's like the slot machine, huh?
Yeah.
Like, damn, it is a gamble. Like, the gamble is like, are you gonna read my chat even though I paid? Because they don't read it all the time. It's a gamble. You're right.
And then I've learned too that it's like a gossip narcotics. There's an individual that's been following me around here for weeks, and I invited them up on to have a conversation, only for them to turn around and badmouth me and completely manipulate the conversation. And so I tested it, and I thought, okay, this is an individual that has issues with addiction. And so I'm gonna privatize the video, and let's see if they say anything, because I'm not gonna feed them any more attention. And they lost it for 3 days, calling me a coward.
I think I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah, calling me a coward. Only for them to play the video back eventually when I unprivatized the video, and it just go right back in their face on how ridiculous they were. It was their hatred, it was their spite, it was their issues with addiction, it was the dopamine hit, it was all of those things. And so I learned, with these people who are having issues with narcissism, for those who are potentially psychopaths, sociopaths on here, don't let them hit. Don't give them the hit. They don't give them the hit to be in my chat, to come up on my panel. Don't use their name. None of those things.
Yeah. That's what I did on that, as you were mentioning. That was the real exercise, because I told the chat, like you saw, like, we ain't having that, that BS drama, gossip girl, high schools. Not even girl. Like, I mean, even the men are even worse than the women. We keep it 100 nowadays around here, the so-called men. And I told them, and they wanted to burn me at the stake, y'all. I loved it though. I loved it though. It's like I knew that was gonna happen. I was like, we're gonna see. This is what a real parasocial relationship is. One-way relationship where the chat wants. Usually, it's positive. The chat's the audience is enamored with the host, but the host doesn't even know who the audience member is. Well, this is the opposite. They were hating me. They were loathing, but it was still a parasocial relationship because I had the power, and I could say, like, no, not today, and yeah, man, wild stuff, man.
It's been a really interesting experience. I've chose to go ahead and create my own channel and to participate in this, because this is just the beginning stages of what's to come. I really think so. I need to shine up and add onto my armor of awareness and experience to prepare myself for what is to come. That's how I approach this whole thing.
You got an ally with me right now. I posted this to my community page, and yeah, man,
that.
Thank you.
This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia, for linking us all up, man.
For sure. I definitely. I'm touching back on what you say, like, we're all walking on the right path, and we must be, because even just this morning when we was talking to Yolanda in our pre-production meeting, I was talking about how this morning's Bible study was how to be a strong leader in the face of criticism. And it's just so interesting to see how everything comes together. And for me, that is the confirmation that I need. And I also understand when you're on that path, things are going to try to take you off of that path. And you have to see that and realize, okay, why are you trying to take me away from this? What are you stopping me from? I want it so bad. I want to go find out, because I want to know why you're trying to stop me. And it's not people. It's just the energies that come together. And it's interesting to watch when you step back and take a look.
Yeah. And see what you did there, Cynthia? Like, you took, and to go back to what you said earlier too about faith, and people say you're not being a good Christian and all this. Like, it's like that. I felt that I got the chills in a sense. Like, I could tell you with the faith, because you took the scripture and you made it real life, in real life, as they say, And I've heard you speak on before about, for you, like, now I'm paraphrasing too, your experience with the Lord and Jesus. That's what's one of the top priorities for you, and I can really resonate with that, and you did a good example of that, because what are all these higher thoughts of consciousness if we can't relate them down here on earth,
Yeah, and for any of you wondering, I'm reading Nehemiah, and so it's trying to rebuild the wall. But recently, well, not recently, like last year sometime, I fell out. I had an issue at the church I was at, and I stepped away, and I was like, man, I gotta find a new church. And I think I went to 4 different new churches, and the Lord sent me to actually moved me, and I'm in a whole new church. And this pastor, he speaks of the spiritual realm. And I've never heard a pastor speak of the spiritual realm, but our church is also bilingual. So there's a lot of youth. And I thought, you know what? They need to hear about the spiritual realm, especially if we're in the metaverse brings that about. They need to know how to be prepared for that and understand that walk. So more so of everything coming together. And you want to step back and rationalize it out, but when it's for you, and you can't be afraid to take that step. And even if it looks like nobody supports you,
you got to keep going. Yeah. And I'll say this before, because I'll let you guys go, because you're doing a wonderful job on this analyzing. We're all content creators here, and one of the commonalities with self-development. That's the thing that I keep hearing, the theme in different words and whatnot. And this YouTube, being a creator, really propels you, fast tracks you into situations where you can test out all these things that we're learning. It's pretty amazing in real time. I'm sure y'all are experiencing it. This is power. This is a powerful thing, but with great power, it does have great responsibility, because we're all leaders, in our own communities and whatnot. And this seems like a good meta community right here. And I appreciate y'all. And I'm gonna let y'all go.
Thank you, NPC. I appreciate you coming up here. I'm really honored that you did. And I look forward to us all collaborating with each other and participating with one another more often, because this is what needs to happen, is more of these types of conversations.
Indeed. Yeah. And I'll be going live tomorrow. I'll just my take on all these what's been happening the last week. So it should be interesting and fun. And I appreciate y'all. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Take care. Be blessed.
Be well.
And for those on my side, I just dropped NPC's link. Please make sure to check him out. He definitely runs a fun panel, and I'm excited to see what he thinks. Hi, Cage. How are you today?
Pierogi games. I don't know about pierogi game, but I know that you guys
tell you about. Okay, so when I first met Cage, first of all, have you eaten pierogies?
Never, not once in my life.
Okay, thank you, my fellow Latina. Right, so Cage, we were having a back and forth on Paul's channel, and Cage came up, and I guess to break the ice, he showed a bag of pierogies, frozen pierogies, and in case like they're little balls of potatoes, like I don't know what they are, but he had it positioned in such a way it looked like testicles, and I was like, is that testicles?
Lord.
and I was accusing him of flashing, and it became a huge thing. And it came out the next day. Those were pierogies, and I was like, "Well, what the hell's a pierogi?" I've still never had one, but we call it pierogi gate now, because I tried to say that he was flashing himself, but he was showing.
Oh my goodness!
Thank you guys for having me. It's all water under the bridge. It's just funny as fuck, though, either way.
He never lets me live. It's been like 3 years now. And if we'll talk, he'll somehow always work in pierogies.
Yeah, he's never going to let you live it down.
What's up, Cage? How are you doing? Haven't seen you around. How are you this evening? What number stats do you have for us today?
Same old. I don't want to interrupt.
Nice. Well, good to have you up here. What's your experience been like on the Panelverse?
He doesn't want to interrupt. Thank you so much, Cage, but please don't hold back from being yourself.
Yeah, Cage, this is you. Don't be up here being brand new to the new people, Cage. Show them who you are. Don't make us look crazy. Oh, wow, Cage. I'm going to clip this because people won't believe this.
Believe it or not.
I know. I was excited that NPC came up. I'm excited that Cage came up as well, but I'm also excited that NPC, and I loved hearing that he appreciated us reviewing his content and having a different take on it.
Yeah, no negativity.
Right.
Just breaking it down and sharing the information. That those are really good conversations, regardless of the story behind it. lessons learned. Don't share your personal information if you don't want it to be analyzed by the world, because these social media platforms, when you tap that button, you're clicking and coming into this digital realm, and it's a carbon footprint, right, of information. So think twice before you click a link when you are intoxicated, when you're not in your right mind, because people are just waiting to pounce on that.
The work you've done, Yolanda, is very interesting with the electromagnetic fields and magnetosomes and stuff. I found that very interesting that you delved into that later. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I never expected to go into that direction, but if we're going to be talking about energetically, this is something that I talk about, Cynthia, is that we are in the times of heightened energy through the sun and through the earth. And in scripture, they speak about it as the end times, and that people will be like in the days of Noah. And we can see that there's a lot of wickedness in this world. People aren't able to transmute the energy and control it in a way that it manifests itself as wickedness, lack of self-control. And we see it on here daily.
And yeah, Cynthia, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I really like that haircut, especially with the one eye sticking out.
Thank you.
Good job. It's beautiful, beautiful.
It was in the bathroom in front of my shower curtain. So listen, it's funny you say that, and a funny coincidence. Of course, we're all aligned way, because the sermon that pastor talked about, you can start to see all of this evilness now because it's becoming closer. Because again, it's the end times. He was like. So that's why you're always saying to yourself, I've never seen this before. Why is this so wicked? And so you just saying that just reminded me of his sermon this weekend. And I just think, how beautiful it is to always wonder, what am I supposed to be doing? But just to see it, even like a glimpse of it coming together, it just gets me excited for life in the future. And I wish that people could have that same experience in both real life and metaversal life. And I want to do my best to make others have that, experience it in some way. Perhaps that's too woo-woo, but it's a genuine thought.
Are you genuine with yourself?
Absolutely. I'm probably harder on myself than I am anybody else. As much as people think I'm mean to people, I can assure you I'm meaner to myself. But I've learned
that's not a really good excuse, right? Because you want to abuse yourself doesn't mean you have to go and run around doing that.
Well, not abuse myself, but I'm like, why did you do that? You were better than that, and just really remind myself of that.
It's all about you.
It's all about each individual person and
how
they
you, myself, and I.
Right, Cage. Absolutely. What about you, Yolanda? Anything else you want to add before we get ready to head out?
No, just that I really appreciate us finding networking with those that want to help one another, improve one another through the digital experience, instead of trying to destroy one another's experience on here.
In that stream at around 2 hours and 17 minutes, NPC and TML had a conversation, and they were saying, see who's out there for you. People are the real foundation of social media. And I think, having conversations like this, interactions like that, help people find their community. And not to say you don't interact with other people, but just to say that you're going to find yourself, but you have to get out there and see it and experience it. That was a great stream. Again, I recommend anybody to go and check it out. It was just good conversations about social media and the relationships on them.
Yeah, I mean, we have to really be paying close attention to what these social media platforms are doing. We have to have an awareness of what they're trying to influence us with, what they're constantly putting in our faces. We need to pay attention to the signs and the symbols that they're using. It's another language. That's something that I've learned on here with the help of others, is that you have to learn their language. And they will put it on repeat for a reason, and it has to do with this cortisol thing. It has to do with the dopamine. It's all influence to keep us into a lower state of mind. This can potentially numb you and distract you from living your life and being the best that you can be with your mind, your body, and your spirit. Take care of your mind. Detox from the technology. Take care of your body. Naga keeps mentioning he is suggesting tea. You have to really take care of your body. We'll have those conversations too, Cynthia, on suggestions. I've been trying to highlight that and talk about that on my channel, but I'd love to have these kinds of conversations as a panel together on the different things that we do to make ourselves better, our bodies as well. But on the spiritual aspect, we need to be able to find places that we can talk about it and not battle over one another's faith systems. Like, to me, that is just, I'm not on that. I'm not interested in coming up here and trying to prove my point on what my experience is on my faith and my belief system and what my connection is to God. Like, it's nobody's business. There's no way I could even describe it. I could try, but I wouldn't try to shove it down anybody's throat. But I know through my experience, that's all I can do, is share with somebody the benefits that I've received from aligning those three things: the mind, the body, and the spirit.
Absolutely. And I love how, just speaking in us, but in others, relationships, pair relationships, real relationships, we can have different opinions but still have respect for each other, not to tear each other down. And I'm excited to see how, just us starting with us, how it goes out into the world and multiplies 1,000 times over. Just learning to let people be themselves and respect their thoughts and take the time to listen. Everybody has a story to tell.
So I'm not sure if you want to jump down or not, Cynthia, but I'm going to play just a couple of seconds here on an audio book that I'm going to listen to. I was going to play this video speaking about this book. What's good, Cage?
Look at Cage. Look at yeah,
good, Cage.
Cage is see, there's the ring. Kiss the ring. Cage is our new bouncer.
Good Lord.
Do you have any last minutes? Just leave me backstage, because I will, as usual, post-production meeting. You have any last words, Cage? Thank you for camming up. Everybody's, this isn't an everything thing. Oh, never mind. I ruined it. My bad. But thank you so much. I appreciate everyone who tuned in and everyone who's going to listen again later. Leave us in the comments. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know. I see a comment down there that says, I wake up, do breathing exercises, stretch, walk with my dogs, and work on my greenhouse. I love that. Leave in the comments anything that y'all do to help y'all get through the day. And make sure to stay tuned, and we'll see you again next week.
All right, Miss Cynthia, I'm going to go ahead and drop you backstage. I'm going to play a couple of here of 2 different videos. So if you want to end on your side or keep it going, thank you so much. And we're already getting good feedback, so let's just keep it going, girl.
For shit show.
That's what's good. Night, ladies. Great show. Is this Gigi?
Yes.
Aw, Gigi, I hope you're feeling better. I know.
You
had a lot going on.
Yeah. Cage, Red Squid. He's the bouncer.
Well, Squid Squid knows all about Cage, so he's pretty good at busting Cage's metaversal balls from time to time. Somebody's got to do it.
Not the frozen pierogi.
Yeah, Busty. I was about to say busting his pierogies.
All right, Miss Cynthia, I'll see you around, girl. Take care.
Mhm.
Okay, Naga, we're winding down, but go ahead. You want to add in a few words before I play these last two clips?
Nah, I'm listening, man. I'm just here to support. I'm listening.
Well, I'm glad
Taking
that
notes.
you came up. I
Yeah.
can already see you've got the frequency right there on your avatar. This was something that I had a conversation with you on your panel before, is that I could tell by people's avatars what time they're on, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Likewise.
Okay, so this is I'm going to check out this audiobook and give some feedback on it, but I think that, and I'm going to share the link down in the chat for y'all, but I mentioned earlier, we know what we're being programmed for right now, right? We know what the programs and who are the programmers.
Imagine holding the power to influence thousands with a single message, to shape opinions, ignite emotions, and guide actions without ever being questioned. Throughout history, leaders, propagandists, and advertisers have mastered the art of mass manipulation, turning crowds into obedient followers through simple yet powerful techniques. This book unveils 7 timeless principles that have governed mass psychology for centuries, inspired by Gustave Le Bon's groundbreaking work, The Crowd, a study of the popular mind. From the dominance of emotions over logic to the hypnotic effect of repetition, from the allure of visual symbols to the intoxicating power of prestige. These techniques are as relevant today as they were over a century ago. Whether you seek to master influence for personal success or protect yourself from manipulation, this book offers the tools to navigate and command the collective mind. Step into the world of hidden persuasion, where illusions trump truths, and discover how to become a master of the crowd. Introduction: The Era of Crowds.
I'm definitely going to look into that. Thank you, Yolanda, for that.
Yeah, the video I was originally gonna play was talking about it, and it was taken down. And I think it was taken down because it was showing clips of all of many different social, political gatherings through different wars, and using the current ones. And I really think that that's why it was taken down. It could have been for copyright, or I'm not quite sure. It's on a popular channel that's got like millions of subscribers and stuff. But I thought, okay, I remembered the book. I found the audio book, and so I'm going to share it with you guys so that you could check it out for yourselves, just to have an awareness of the programming while we have the opportunity to have these conversations with each other, you know?
Well, I guess, yeah, if you get caught up in that instead of the audio, then I guess stuff like that could happen.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, you guys have some final thoughts for me?
Definitely still listening. Definitely like the introduction.
Oh, she's doing great. I'm glad to hear it, Gigi. All right, here's our last clip,